Amateur here in a second.
There we go. Says we're live. Hey, good evening, guys.
Are we live?
We're live.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Not live.
We're live.
Oh, wait. No.
Yeah, it's like a 15, 20-second lag on the live thing for YouTube. So
We haven't done this in 2 months, so but we still know how to do it, and we.
The end of a long day already, though. So
and we got Dusty from Alabama Pickers joining us. I've been hoping.
Wow, Pat, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel this month.
that's right.
Jeez, come on.
It's true.
That's true. I mean, we're very live right now.
The other part muted because I hate that you can't mute YouTube before it goes.
So what I usually do is mute another video, but it's funny because I just went back and looked, and I had to still mute mine again. So I wonder if that's a default again, that it's just going away.
I just pop the chat out and then close the channel. I don't care if I see the video or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. I pop it out.
Yeah. Oh, you guys haven't even. When's the last time Jason and Eric, you guys went live?
Oh my God! Put it this way: it's been so long that I now, with all the new changes, I don't know how to go live. So don't expect anything anytime soon.
Well, I personally have never done a StreamYard live where I ran the show or anything. I know Jason hasn't either. So,
well, you walked me through it though. You and I went live the other day, and I was like, "No, I'm not messing with this Yardbird or whatever." And it really wasn't hard. I mean,
right? It's not hard to do, but I've never actually. We just walked through it because we were sharing the screen at the time. But yeah, it's just been too busy, and honestly, I'm so far behind on my listing and everything. I mean, I'm listening every day, but I'm still working.
Oh, I know. I'm with you, Eric. I bought all those postcards all summer, and I haven't listed one yet. I did get a scanner. Somebody sent me a scanner, another YouTuber, and now I just got to open it and get it stuff scanned in.
Yep, I'm going through radio auction stuff from August, so.
Yeah, I've actually had people, and I want to thank you guys for joining me. We stopped doing these 2 months ago, and people said, "Oh, I never said I was stopping for good. I said when I would do it, I would kind of do it as a special and kind of get, let some time go by that we things would change in life and we could talk about things and get together." But a lot of people, and that's why I want to bring the original crew back. Jason and Eric, and I've been actually on Dusty probably for the past 5 or 6 weeks about joining me, but he doesn't.
He's been riding Dusty like Seattle Slew.
He rides Dusty like Jason's dog rides his bed.
I was literally, and I told Pat, because you asked earlier, well, you asked a long time ago, but you asked earlier this week, and I'm, oh my, is he going to hump it?
Yeah, he's doing it again.
I told Pat, I said, listen, I can't, I don't know how to explain our lives. Those that know me really well know that our lives are literally from 1 minute to the next. It may be, oh, we're just, it's not a normal life, because our kids are that age now where one's out of the house and one's grown, one's 18 years old. And so it's if we decide to up and do this or whatever, or we may drop everything and run to, run to Birmingham or where. So I hated to be kind of,
I thought you were going to say Costco.
vague with you, but I was like, yeah, I'd love to do your show, but because you had asked me, I think it's about a week ago today or whatever, or Monday or something. I was like, I don't, yes, tentatively, but
right.
But I tried. I believe in communicating with people. I'd rather give somebody a heads up, hey, I may not be able to do this, because of X, Y, Z, than cancel on somebody at the last minute with no warning, because I think it's crappy.
No, I appreciate it, and you were honest. You did say that, and I said, "Hey, look, I'll reach out to you again today." And I reached out to him about an hour and a half ago. I laid down and I was watching. I don't know if anyone else signed up. I signed up for Disney Plus this past week.
I was just watching your video on that. And yeah, we can talk about that more later. But Eric and I are big fans of it, so.
I like the service and everything. So far I'm having a lot of lag issues though. So
yeah,
first week I give it a month. If they can't fix it in a month, I'll just cancel it. I mean, it's no big
deal. You think I can be your dial-up?
My dial-up, yeah. Up until last week, I was the one that had the fastest internet out there. Then Dusty finally goes.
We're not going to hear this again, are we? Jesus, it's like a broken record.
See, in it to flip, it says, "Oh my gosh, Patdees, you've been having I'm consuming older Alabama pickers videos like crazy and wishing their other two would put out more content so I could learn."
You'd be better off with those two putting out content than watching my old stuff. Trust me.
You might. Well, no, it depends on what if you're trying to learn about stuff. Maybe watch us. If you need some sleep or some monotone long videos to help you nap,
If you have insomnia.
and I'm just the guy that likes to bring them together. Just getting them together is tough. And again, people kept on asking me, when you guys going to get together? I said, I don't know. We haven't talked either in a while.
You still planning on coming out in January?
No. Well, that other thing that you were talking about, I am going to Florida December 26th. And I'll be home around the 5th or the 6th of January.
It's after that, so
okay, yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, let me know. Yeah. It's I'll be honest. I've been looking for storage units, but there's nothing. There's nothing lately. I don't know if it's the weather or what's going on out here, but
you're into more indoor auction house type stuff. This is the season. This is a good time to buy if you're from indoor auction houses, but
yeah,
people are selling and things like that. You want to buy now before really tax season kicks in. And tax season kicks in, it's time to sell. So, we had a situation with the storage units we bought over the summer and the stuff that Jason gave me. We couldn't even park in the garage. But we finally went through all those TVs and monitors and moved them downstairs and in the basement and trying to get them set up that I can list them. And
are they big?
There's all kinds of different sizes. You must not have seen the load that me and Adam brought. Adam followed me in his van, and my SUV was packed.
No, I saw the load, and they were lined up on the sidewalk outside of. I don't know if that was your videos or Jason's, or they were lined on the sidewalk outside of Jason's office on that long sidewalk.
Basically, he took most of that.
Yeah,
like 13-inch TVs all the way up to 25-inch TVs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I tell you, I've not sold one thing out of that lot yet, just because I haven't gotten to it.
I haven't either, and part of the problem is I came home with a lot of stuff, and people started offering me other like car parts and just started getting stuff buried. And then I went to the Nashville. What's up?
I said we're staying high to Harlan. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said uh-oh. I thought maybe I froze up.
So basically, you're 25.
That's right. Harlan's such a big name now. We got to recognize him up through the chat. We can't type high. We got to say it and give recognition.
So basically, your 25 TVs are kind of like a big dental chair. Because I get teased for this dental chair that I haven't listed for a long time. So I'm just gonna...
yeah, like that. Oh, it's just a long time. 3 years, I think now at this point.
4 years.
Well, I had, we had gotten the wife a new vehicle a couple months ago for her, newer, not brand new, like 3 years old. And I said, well, we got to at least park in the garage because now, we had snow here already. Yep. And it's like 23, I think it was 23 degrees this morning. And we already had like 4 inches of snow in the last 2 days. So, got
to watch out for sliding off in those ditches.
Yeah, exactly. my kid already did that, and if you seen my Geico video where my insurance went from $5,000 to $10,000, did you extend your Geico coverage? I actually Harlan. I got rid of Geico because and I cut the bill. I did cut maybe it was a good thing because I was paying $5,000 a year for Geico, and then my kid went off into the ditch. Only like 2 houses away, and they upped our insurance to $10,000. Now I got it back down to $3,800. So
I gotta say, I have 3 cars, 2 full coverage cars on there, and I pay. I'm gonna say maybe $1,100 a year.
I think part of that though, because I watched your video, and Geico did that same thing to me a couple of years ago, and I called him. I was like, nobody's had any issues, whatever, and and they got me the customer retention department and ended up getting me all these discounts and everything else and got me back down. But I think part of that is you know, obviously your higher rates is living in Pennsylvania. You're in Pennsylvania, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Because Jason, what was that when you had your issue or whatever? What was that? It's not indemnity. What do they call it? There's something that y'all have in Pennsylvania.
What the heck is that?
I was looking it up and I can't remember the term.
It's something with a T, isn't it?
Where basically you're responsible for your. Do you remember what that was, Eric?
Oh,
I can't. Yeah, I remember. It's basically saying that everybody's responsible for their own insurance and their own claims and everything against their own insurance company. So any type of claim that happens, it's really up to your insurance company to pay out, and then they have to fight it out between themselves. So,
see, and you're a no-fault car insurance system.
Yeah, and the thing is, we didn't even have. The only thing we had was towing, so we didn't even have nothing as far as it said. Don't matter. It was still considered an accident, and it counted against you. Let me real quick just say hi to a couple people.
Yeah,
Justin Jacobs. I don't want to be rude. Was first in the room. How you doing? Hey, Craig. Kathy, happy birthday, Kathy. Kathy's birthday was yesterday. Just me, Kathy. April Davis, thanks for joining us. Darlene, thank you. Arthur Leslie. Alabama Pickers likes bananas.
Oh no.
It's nice to see you dressed. This is the first live I've done with Dusty, but we've hung out in the one. I think the last hangout he was wearing a bathrobe. I told him you can come in your bathrobe tonight. I would allow him to get him on the show.
the smoking jacket we like to refer to it as.
I was gonna say I was probably wearing the same shirt. This is kind of like my junk and
it's like a giant snuggie. It's like a safe place.
you know.
Destiny, thank you. In it to flip it, thank you. If you guys can hit the thumbs up, I greatly appreciate it. Harlan's in here. Thank you. Stephen Strait, thank you for joining us. Is anybody everybody's been talking the last month about the eBay glitches and stuff. Have you guys noticed anything that affects you guys?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been bad.
How long do we have on the show?
Well, typically we do 2 hours.
Yeah, it might about cover it. It's been a little bit rough. I mean, it's so hit and miss. It's so 3 days it seems like it's working great. Sales are fine, and then you go 3 or 4 days, and you're like, something's wrong because I don't go 3 or 4 days without my. I typically sell 5 to 7 things a day. I mean, that's pretty much where my standard is. Sometimes more, sometimes less, and then you get a day or two where you have one sale, or you don't have a sale till 9 o'clock at night. I mean, there's obviously there's issues. So
something funky. Eric and I've been playing around with something funky's definitely going on because we have about the same sales volume for the most part. I mean, we have about the same amount of items listed. I mean, would you say we're about the same probably?
Oh yeah, I think you're a little higher volume than I am. You have a few higher priced items than I do. I mean, you've had some luck lately with some really high priced stuff, but for probably like the last 6 months, we've both been running pretty close to the same amount.
Yeah, he's caught up, which has actually lit a fire under me. So, because we're kind of competitive, or I'm kind of competitive. But there's something, he and I are comparing notes every day, and it's not. I mean, there was one day, like on a Thursday, I had $12. I had one sale by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, I think it was this last Thursday.
Yeah, it was last Thursday because I didn't get anything till 8 o'clock at night.
And I'm going to tell you what I've been experimenting with, and I it's complicated, but basically, I do think that there's something to your listings becoming stale and stagnant. I think there's a lot of resellers out there, probably some of them watching the show, that list stuff, and especially since eBay's gone to all good till canceled now. If you leave your stuff listed and hey, I've had that item listed for 6 months and you've never ended it and relisted it, if I was writing eBay software, I would look at that as an item that hasn't sold in 6 months. It's not relevant. So Eric and I are kind of firm believers in ending listings and then relisting. And what happens is you can go immediately and look at it lasts for about 24 to 48 hours, but your items that you just listed, it will show up in the search with new listing out next to it to your potential buyers. And they'll have a higher bump in search. And then you kind of see a downtrend after what, Eric, 7-9 days maybe?
Yeah, I did it last Thursday. I said I hadn't. Sales been slow all week long, and so I said, you know what, you've done it like I think you did it like on Tuesday or Wednesday. You did it like a day or so before I did, and so I didn't have anything on Thursday until like 8 o'clock at night, but I did a complete into every item I have, and I have 2,300 items. Ended every item, then relisted every item, and I have an anchor store, so I can do it without really paying any extra fees. And immediately started seeing sales come in. And I had probably one of my better weekends last weekend, but then now it's been 5-6 days since actually a little bit more than a week, and it started to die again.
So
what I've been doing is I have my store categorized by day of the week. It's when I list an item, my store category is the day I listed it on it. So what I've been doing is every day now, like today, I ended and relisted Saturday category items. And it's like a couple hundred items per day. And so I may end up at the end of the month and maybe paying for an extra 1,000 listings, which at a nickel listing is what, $50. I'm okay with that, but it's kind of annoying. But if you've got the free, if you've got like a premium store, which you get 1,000 listings, you've got 400 items listed, it wouldn't hurt you to kill them and then relist them.
Yeah, I wonder. They started that earlier this year where they did that. What was it called? Not good till good. Yeah, good till
cancel. They made every listing good till cancel. They used to be your length, and I was always a 5-day lister, 5 to 7 days, and then I would just relist them when they ended. But now that eBay's gone to the good till cancel for everybody, dictate how you run your own business. I was very vocal on eBay for Business for that one.
And you kind of lose track of what you really have. I mean, I'm selling some. I mean, I don't do nearly the volume you guys do. Don't forget, I've been doing it part time since 1998, and then last year, not actually last year. No, yeah, we're in November. Last year at this time is when I really started cranking it up. As far as I was happy because I had done like $5,000 in December, but at the rate I'm going right now, I'm only selling around $1,000 worth of stuff a month. Now I just looked because every day I mark down on an Excel spreadsheet what I sell on Amazon and what I sell on. I mean, so far this month, only 3 days I didn't sell something on eBay. So last month I sold out of 31 days. I sold 21 days.
I haven't had a 0 day in a long time, but I've also had just a couple of days where I only had a couple, 2 or 3 sales, and that's really rare for me. I'm usually, like I said, 5 to 7 items a day. When I get on Mondays, I'm shipping 18 to 20 items. Typically, last Monday though, I shipped 35.
Oh wow!
Tuesday actually 35. So that was a 3-day weekend, so it was a little bit longer. But
hey, just want to say real quick, hi Melissa. Melissa's down in Florida. She follows us guys and stuff, and thanks for stopping in. Hello, Joy. There's Adam. He's in the room. Thank you for stopping in. I greatly appreciate it. But
it is. I mean, we have a big philosophy. We're going to do things in our stores that we know work for us, but you do have to kind of just take a deep breath sometimes and just hopefully let eBay work through their glitches.
Well,
but damn,
and we're going to try stuff that's against the grain too. I think in the 3-4 years that you and I have known each other, I mean, there's been a lot of things that we've done that people are like, why would you end and relist? I mean, for one thing, and there's this old thing going around that don't do relist, do sell similar, and there's reasons not to do sell similar. For instance, your original quantities get carried over, etc. Whether or not it carries over the same item number, I know that when I do relist, end and relist, I get new listing. So eBay still treats that as a new listing.
Yeah, if you get new listing,
been around.
The nice thing is you carry over your current quantities, and you carry over your watchers.
Yeah, but you get the new listing bump. So that's an old wives' tale that's been kind of misconstrued for 5 years that I've been watching people's videos. They're like, no.
I also raise or lower my prices on every time I do a relist. I'll raise and lower by a few percent. Just to bounce the price around so it's not the exact same listing.
I run sales back to back to back. I know Eric kind of does a similar type thing. You run yours a little bit longer. I do think there's a sense of urgency created when if you go click on one of my listings that is on sale that ends in the next, the sale ends in the next 24 hours or less. it'll say on sale in red, ends in, and it'll have a little countdown, countdown timer. That creates, just like, I mean, Pat, you had a restaurant. I mean, that you need a sense of urgency. Hey, today, Tuesdays only. Our slowest day in the restaurant was always Tuesday. Tuesdays only. You can get 99-cent hamburgers, but it's only from 5 till close. And I'm gonna tell you, we packed that place out because we had created a sense of urgency with a certain time, only from 5 to 9.
Well, yeah, and you do that. That's why when they do coupons, they do it that way.
Right.
But we lost that when they made everything good till cancel. You used to have that ending in X amount of days.
Right.
And you lose that now. So and again, way back then, eBay always had the going gone tag on a lot of their stuff, and that information is still in there. It still gets bumped up, but there's nobody's ever going gone anymore. So what are you gonna do?
Now, this is really Dusty. I don't know what you sell in your store, and I just don't want to assume. But why don't you tell the people what do you? I assume you sell anything that makes money, right?
I have a saying that I kind of use because it's kind of an icebreaker, whether you're at a estate sale or on a private pick or whatever. People or in a situation like with me down at the lodge or whatever, and people go, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I sell antiques and collectibles on eBay," or "I sell antiques and collectibles," and they go, "Really?" Because for years I told people I sell online, and then that leads to like all these questions or whatever. But then typically sometimes they'll go, "Well, where do you sell?" And I'll go, "Well, eBay, sometimes local sales, Craigslist, whatever." And they go, "What do you sell?" And I say, and my kind of little catchphrase is anything that's not immoral or illegal. Of course, everybody's definition of immoral.
We all have different.
I've sold some gentlemen's magazines from the 1950s before and things like that. And I mean, that some people would go, "Oh, no. But like today, for instance, that whole pile, it's backwards. That whole pile behind me over there, that's kind of what's left. I listed 54 items. It's all retired Vera Bradley purses and things like that, all retired patterns. I listed China a couple days ago. I cussed my way through that one. Underneath that table is stacks and stacks of car, motorcycle, and boat motor manuals.
Now, Dusty, is that everything that you sell? Is that right there, or do you have stuff somewhere else?
All the listed items are in this room and also in an overflow room upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All the unlisted stuff is in my dining room, in between here, the fireplace in the living room, in a garage out back, in the basement, and also in a warehouse that we have.
Yeah.
Kind of here's my thing. You never know. And I know you've been through, tough times with health and things like that. If you can make a good buy and you've got the money to do it, do it. I'm sure you probably have, back stock of stuff too, because you know what? That's kind of a rainy day fund. That's kind of your insurance that if you ever got to the point where you weren't monetarily able to buy again, for a while, man, you've got a garage full of stuff or whatever, whatever your situation is. You've got a garage full of stuff that's unlisted. I mean, that's income.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stuff to list. I guess what I worry about for myself personally is trying to find the hot item or too worried about what other people are doing to sell. In other words, I'm selling the stuff that I am, and then all of a sudden someone says, "Well, you ought to be selling car parts because that's where people are making money." Then all of a sudden I'm losing focused on, like, in the past I've sold toys, I've sold sports cards, and I've made money on those things. And then someone says to me, and I have about 10 car parts in the garage, but there was no risk for me on money because the guy that owned the garage said, "Hey, Pat, you want to list them? I'll give you a hat." But the problem is, once I brought the stuff home from Eric, once I started doing the storage units, and I started, guess what? The stuff is not listed because it's hidden in the garage. So I got to get focused on listing.
But you're going to go. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 something years. You're going to go through that though. You're going to grow and you're going to evolve, and eventually you're going to figure out what you become good at. You're going to become an expert of many, 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 many things, but really not an expert of any of them. You're going to be knowledgeable about a lot of things. Figure out what you enjoy listing. Figure out. Eric and I were in a hangout together earlier today while I was listing and he was listing, and it was all paper old almanacs from the 1800s or whatever, right there behind him. And I was like, I love stuff like that because each one of those books is $30, $40 and up, and literally thousands of dollars worth of inventory. They're going to fit in a tote this big.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the stuff that people would walk past. So I've learned to love that kind of stuff because it's a lot of profit for little, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. You know?
Right. My problem is, and I'm going to be honest with the YouTube audience too, is what happens is, and and Eric and Jason could say this, and I think when you get sidetracked doing YouTube, it becomes sometimes a little bit more of the story of acquiring things, picking up, sourcing, going storage units, going to the Goodwill, going to the Salvation, doing RA, doing the garage sales, doing the flea markets. And, all of a sudden you're out there chasing that to do the story for YouTube. And then you're so overwhelmed with stuff and you're like, oh my, what do I list now? And,
I think if you hold yourself accountable to the fact that you're going to do, not only are you going to do the picking videos, but you're going to do the what I sold videos, because those two go hand in hand. You can, because we've all done, what I grabbed videos,
right.
What did I buy at the auction, whatever. And we can kind of assign I think it's going to be worth this much. I'm going to ask this much for it. But I think that you'll find that the audience really likes to compare you pick this. Now I get to see what it's sold for. Now you get a realistic version of what this life is like.
Right.
And I think a lot of people forget about that. A lot of people, because the picking stuff is fun. And we all know that's the cool part. Going out and buying.
That's in all honesty, that's the easy part.
It is the easy part. You don't have to do any work. You got to have some money in your pocket.
Right. I mean, especially when I went to the and this is one of the reasons why I do YouTube is to learn from other people and see how they're doing, because for me I got to make an income doing this. Hey Adam, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. $5. Great to see you guys live.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
I think if you find yourself getting distracted, just sit down and start doing some what I sold videos, and then you can, especially if it's stuff that you've picked recently, you can kind of show people, I got it. This is how much I paid. This is what I'm getting out of it. You kind of go with that. Which get you back on track.
Right, and I've been thinking about doing one lately. When I went with you guys with the that one pocket watch I got that the handles were off, the Mickey Mouse. I sold that for I think $115.
Yeah.
And that day I was with you at the auction, I only spent $230, and I still have 7 or 8 watches laying here that I haven't even listed. So
I mean, that's where I'm going. That's where all these almanacs came from. Was that New York auction? I mean, and they've been sitting in a tote over there, just waiting for me to work through it. I've been listing antique radio stuff. I mean,
hey, Dusty, you can address that question, please.
The one that y'all just asked, or the one that I put in the private chat?
The one, I'm sorry, because I didn't see it right away in the private. What happened was I was on today a live earlier, and I always forget, if you're not the host, you see the screen is a little different. So you can.
I'm in the habit of, like, when I'm not hosting the show, I always try to help the host. So
I want you to.
I'll grab it and put it like with the Google.
Yeah, no, I want you to. I appreciate it. So you can address that.
I want to go back to what y'all were talking about for a minute. I think when it comes to YouTube, you just have to figure out where you're, and our channel is the slowest growing reselling channel that ever existed, ever. It is. After 5 years, we haven't even hit 10,000 subs. I don't care, because I decided from day one I wanted to do what I enjoyed and what didn't take time away from my business. Somebody commented earlier and said, I love the shows that you and Eric, where I bring the stuff in and Eric helps me look it all up. But you can tell Eric, Eric can tell you that after that last show we did, and after the camera ended, I cussed and I looked around. I went, now I can't even walk in my office. So I have to decide, was it worth it to help people to do a YouTube video, everything else, and then have to kind of like, okay, that stuff should still be in my dining room. Did I mess my business up because of a YouTube video? And so anyhow, I could go on about that one for hours. All right, so In It to Flip It asked, oh my God, I need my glasses for that one. May I ask, I recently heard a seller say that provided your items are priced right, etc., you can expect 1% of your number of listings will sell each day. I've been getting about 1.4% each day. I would, if somebody else can take it, but I would disagree with that, because if you go list 10 brand new iPhones at $200 a piece, you're going to have 100% sell through. Not 1%. I've heard that. That's another one of those I've heard for years, and I'm like,
I think if you could get to that number as an average, I think that'd be a pretty nice number. It means you're turning your inventory 3 times a year. That would not be a bad number to be at. But once you crack that 1,000, 1,500 number, you're not going to get as much turnover. But you're not going to get 1%, because if that were true, then Dusty and I would both be selling 23, 24 items a day. And you've done that in the past. I've done that in the past, but it's not very often.
It's finding that. It's like anything else. It's like with YouTube or anything else, or with, like we were talking about when I hate the buzzwords like sourcing and stuff, but when you're out buying or you're out picking, you figure out
Sourcing is a buzzword.
Yeah, sourcing is one of those words that came along with the whole Amazon FBA thing, and everybody's like, we're going out sourcing. So I called it picking or whatever.
Well, I didn't even know until I met Eric. I didn't know what ephemera was. I was like, I don't know. I'm picking up postcards. And it took me a while to even say the word. So even sourcing, I never knew what it was until YouTube.
It's paper junk.
Yeah, paper junk that might be worth thousands. You just never know.
Exactly. It's where the money is. The money in estate sales and garages, and especially if it's somebody older, the money's in the desk drawers. It's in the filing cabinets. It's in the, it's in the stuff that I have an old saying that I started saying years ago. If you want to make the most money at a yard sale, estate sale, auction, wherever, do what other people won't do. Which that's I can't take credit for that one. That's an old sales adage. I think that was actually from the movie Boiler Room or something. But do what other people won't do. Keep your head on a swivel. When you walk in to that garage sale or whatever, or that estate sale where they're dragging stuff out, and it's not run by a company, it's whatever. It's the family dragging stuff out. Don't be the people that look at everything that's priced on the table. Open the boxes under the table. I've made more money going, hey, has anybody checked the attic or the closets? Do y'all care if I look? And they're like, no, if you want to go up there, if you get hurt, it's not our fault. And I'm like, okay, cool. I've crawled through more attics and found more cool crap that nobody knew was there.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to do it. And that's where a lot of times the money is. It's a treasure. I mean, it's a treasure hunt. And we live in a day and age now that even compared to 5 years ago, the average person selling, the average auction company, estate sale company, person running a yard sale, they know how to look stuff up on their phone. You're buying stuff from people that generally 99% of the time have looked stuff up. Well, 99% of the time, let me rephrase that, they have an idea of what stuff is worth. But there's still those surprises. Most people go, oh, it's a VCR, give me $1. Well, they're going to be VCRs that are worth $100. Right. I mean, there's still those occasional surprises, but it's becoming, in my opinion, fewer and far between to walk into a private sale buying from an individual or a company where they haven't missed stuff. Would you, Eric?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, when I go to an estate sale, and I don't go to very many because, again, they've looked most of the stuff up. They've got a fairly competitive price on it. First thing I do is I go to the basement. I'm digging in filing cabinets. I'm looking around in desk drawers. I'm looking at the stuff that's not obvious. I mean, because you never know when you're going to find something. And I'm willing to take a risk on papers and stacks of papers. And one of my estate sales knows me. When I come in, they know I'm going to walk out with 3 or 4 totes worth of paper. And the good thing about it is they don't price it. They don't care. I walk up with a giant tote of paper and I'm like, how much? And it could be anything in there. And they're like, $20.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was down at an estate sale when I went for the Nashville meetup, and the Southern Charm down there, and the prices were great. And I've already sold stuff. I mean, I bought a quilt, a homemade quilt. I bought a radio. I bought a Cabbage Patch Kid. I think I only spent like $25 at that estate sale and walked out with 9 things. And the Cabbage Patch Kid alone, I got my money back.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping this will be my best score ever right here.
What is that?
The Bible? You need it. It's Eric's little black book.
It's my little black book. It's in German. It's a German book.
Oh, Schlangenflora. Okay.
Might be better if you see the pictures. I don't
Hey,
speak German.
Shane, thanks for stopping in, buddy. And Carol, what year is that from, Eric?
This is based on my research, based on what everybody's telling me, this is an 1844 German first edition of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Are there a lot of engravings in there, or is that
It's supposed to have 2 engravings. It has both engravings.
so it doesn't have others throughout the whole book? It's just
Nope, just the 2, and it actually says on the title page with 2 engravings in German. And I'm having trouble putting a value on it. First edition Charles Dickens, American go for in between 10 and 20,000. So this is German. So I'm hoping 5,000 to 6,000 maybe.
Wow.
I got to brag a little bit about it. It was in that we bought it. It was in that radio estate. The one
Eric, do you ever buy stuff that you just don't want to sell because you like it so much?
I have that problem with stuff like this every now and then, but
Yeah.
not too often. If I like something, I'll hang on to it for a little while, but I usually end up selling it. It's just finding is eBay the right market for it? I don't know. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of research on that one, and I really am trying to figure out a way to get it to really prove what it is, because I mean that's the hardest part is making sure people know exactly what it is. So
now let me ask you: could you take that to like a museum? Is there a museum like?
I've sent messages to the Charles Dickens Museum. They haven't gotten back with me yet. I have talked to the secretary of the Dickinson Society, and she was very interested in it, and is putting some feelers out to people she knows. So, you gotta, and that's the hardest part is figure out, the good thing is he's such a super well-known author. There's a lot of people that, a lot of things are around him. So it's actually a lot easier to find stuff, but haven't been able to find a single picture, single reference to this. I know a lot about Christmas Carol now, but I'm still struggling with it. If it'd been an American version, it'd been real easy to find out.
I'm pretty sure that was in one of my box slots. I need to go back and watch.
It probably was, actually. I wouldn't be surprised. So, because I think I remember correctly, we were splitting stuff up, and you said you take all the books, and this would have been in the books and papers. So,
yeah.
So I don't know why Craig is asking if Dusty's asleep.
I was messing with Jason.
No, he's not sleeping.
I'm sleeping. I've been shipping.
Yeah, but that radio auction is a perfect example. I mean, here's this little piece right here. This I sold one without this little cover plate on it 3 days ago. I had 3 of these. I sold it for $150. This is actually going to be worth like $250 because it has that cover plate on it.
Now, is that the one we got when you were up in New York?
Yeah, this is out of that New York auction.
Wow.
So I've got 3 of them. So they'll be, end up being $500 or $600 by the time I'm done. And it's an old 1920s Atwater Kent radio variometer.
So that would have been out of would that have been on an upright or a tabletop?
No, it's a breadboard radio.
Okay.
It gets put on the breadboard radio, and then the wires get attached back here, and then you tune it in up here.
See, and that stuff. That's stuff that Eric probably wouldn't have known 10 years ago.
I didn't know a damn thing about it.
But we've sold Atwater Kents and breadboard radios and things, and you just pick up little bits and pieces over time. I mean, it's not. I think too many people get in this business and think that they're gonna, make $1 million overnight. Pat, you mentioned, and you try to see what other people are doing. Well, what other people are doing isn't necessarily going to be something you like or that works for you.
Oh, exactly.
Or you can even find in your area.
Right. And I don't have that breadboard radio. Perfect example. When I went with them, I know one of them went for $800. I didn't bring $800 with me, so that would have been way out of my league. And not knowing who the end seller was,
that one that went for there was several. They had sold like 3 complete ones there, $800 to $1,000 a piece. And those were actually worth eBay value. Those were worth between $2,000 and $3,000.
Yeah, I recorded. If you watch the video, I think I captured that on there. The guy bought because I was even amazed.
But see, when you deal with, that was the thing. I didn't buy any. I bought a few radios and didn't really pay a whole lot for them, but I bought a lot of parts because knowing that parts are just as valuable, sometimes even more valuable than the complete one, because someone's going to pay up to finish a project. So, but I've never bought this type of stuff before. Me and Dusty are looking stuff up. Like, what is this? I don't even know. And it's like a little headphone jack from an old radios and stuff. And I've got like 40 of them, and they sell for like $20 a piece.
Oh, you didn't tell me you had 40 of them. I was
I got handfuls of them back there. I mean,
Dusty, have you ever been to his house?
I have not had that. I have not had that pleasure. I feel like I have because I hang out with him every day. Have hung out with him every day for the last
Yeah,
years.
on the way home from Nashville, I stopped at his house, and it's always funny the different perspective when we see the camera. You don't realize he's got a big area down there. Yeah, and it goes back deep. But did they ever get your road paved there?
Yep, they finished paving it. So
yeah,
that's right. You came when it wasn't paved. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all milled, and then I had to sit there and go through the guard dog for about 10 minutes. I had to sit there like a statue because I felt nervous, and then we checked out the stuff that he had in the garage that he does for the auctions.
I got one running right now.
Hey, Dusty, why don't you tell us about storage units?
Well, we were talking about earlier. Doing things, and what works for everybody doesn't necessarily work for you. And Pat, I was watching your video earlier where you picked some $5 storage units or whatever before the show. I had about 45 minutes in between or whatever. And that's another really good example because y'all were talking about that earlier too with the TVs and stuff like that. Jason, would you do that over again if you had that to do over again? Like the part that nobody tells you, and not that you were honest, Pat, but it feels like the part that nobody tells you. I've probably picked 1,000 storage units. I don't buy the storage units. I was smart enough to hook up with people that buy them years ago. But, I mean, not smart enough. I kind of lucked into it, and it worked that way. But it's tough. I mean, nobody tells you about the hundreds of dollars that you have to spend to take things to the dump or throw things in the dumpster.
I would never buy that unit again if we had the chance.
I busted my butt when I was down there helping the guys, but they had the hard part because they had to go up and lug it in. I saw the video where the door was, real skinny. I don't know how two people could fit through at the same time.
Two people couldn't, especially two people like me and Jason. So.
Right, me and Adam. I mean, I had a good. I mean, we were hustling and doing stuff, but I don't know if I would have bought that unit just seeing where it had to come down from. Now, where I live, and I felt bad for Jason, I could have, if he would have been like a half an hour away from me, and I could have. I have 17 acres. I could have burnt that. He had to pay $350 just to take it to the landfill. When 80% of it was National Geographic and the guy's manifest. What he was going on the last 40 years.
Oh, National Geographic magazines.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
old 90s stuff, 80s and 90s. Nothing really old, but yeah, it was.
You know what I do in National Geographic magazines when I come across, if I don't have access to a dumpster or already making a dump run, go to and rip all the maps out, lot the mats together. Some of them are worth selling individually, but not really. Lot all the maps together and throw the magazines away.
I actually took about 15 of the magazines. They weren't even open. They still had the brown paper, the slip that comes on them when they got delivered to the house. And I said, I don't know. They're out in a box. Because I wanted to remind myself to do some research on them and see if there was any money into it or not. So,
there's money, but again, is it worth it? There's not enough money to make it worth your time to deal with something like that. And that is the biggest problem when you do with storage units is you get a lot of stuff that if you want to spend the time and effort, you can get a few bucks out of stuff, but is it really worth the time and effort? The amount of energy you're spending getting those, $3 and $4 sales, you could be getting $20 and $25 sales.
Right.
So you have to value your time. Your time is the one thing you yourself spend.
But it's what you enjoy too, though, because I've sat and listed, matchbooks that I know I'm going to get $6.99 plus $4 shipping or whatever on a day when I didn't feel like listing, but I knew I needed to, and I turn around and I'm like, those actually, I feel like messing with those right now. They only take up this much space on my desk. I can take pictures of 15 or 20 of them at a time. So I don't think it's bad, but they're also small. All my matchbooks are in, I don't know, somewhere over here in my inventory system. I knew that was coming. So I beat you to the punch on that one. But, or like postcards or whatever. But when you get into National Geographic magazines, then you're talking about taking up more space and weight, So it's whatever works for you, depending on what time, effort, energy, and space you have.
Yeah. I talked to my son about this actually last night. My goal is I'd really like to buy about 15, 20 units next year. But I plan on, he turned me on actually to the opportunity in Facebook Marketplace. That $5 unit, we pulled out like an Xbox, sold it for $40. He sold probably $125 worth of stuff out of that unit for me. The microphone that I'm using now that we're on, I got that for free. Obviously, that was in the $5 unit, and
that paid for it right there. I mean, it's
right.
And I wasn't bashing storage unit. I just
No.
It's, man, I mean, if I, when we owned a thrift store at one point in time, when I had a way to get rid of mattresses, the area we were located in was, the demographics were such that if I had a mattress set, it didn't matter if it was twin or whatever. If I put it out front for $35 mattress and box spring, it was gone within 2 hours that first morning. If I had a dresser, no matter how ratty it was, whatever. But what nobody tells you is all the dressers you find that don't have drawers, because somebody wanted the stuff in the top drawer, so they carried it home with them. The ones that are broken, the broken furniture, the bicycles that are missing a wheel that aren't even good bicycles to begin with, or that have flat tires that okay, is it worth putting a tube in? Is it worth doing this and that and the other? The bags of clothing that when you put your clothing in a storage unit in a black plastic bag, especially when you live in Alabama and it's humid, the clothing sweats because there's always some amount of moisture left in it. I don't care how good you dried it. And when you seal up a black plastic bag, it mildews and it gets what I call and if you've done storage units, you'll know this smell. It's not mold, it's not mildew, it's a clothing smell. If the person was, a stinky person, everything in there is going to stink. The roaches you deal with, the dirt, the filth, the mold, the trash, the boxes and boxes of utility bills that they didn't pay, and that's why they lost their storage unit. I mean,
or the 2-year-old box of potatoes.
Oh God, there's nothing worse than rotten potatoes.
Oh man, and these were sealed, and these were the sliced home fries from Cisco Foods, and they still stank. I had them on the hood of my car, and I asked the girl, I said, "Look, I don't want to lie to you." I said, "But can I please throw them in your dumpster?" I said, "If not, I'm driving down the street, McDonald's, and they're going in there because there's no way they're going in my car for an hour and a half home."
That's why renting a truck sometimes is a good idea. So,
I've lived in areas where they had local dumps that they had an agreement with the municipality or the county or whatever, where if you were a resident of that county, you could dump for free. I've also living currently in a place where you pay by the pound. You weigh in and you weigh out, and your poundage goes up depending on how many axles you have. It's just yeah.
I don't know. I usually do pretty good with the storage units.
This last one was really the first kind of a doggy unit you bought. I mean,
I bought, what was it, 3 in a row that were like $3K each, and those all paid out really well.
Yeah, those
Jason, you paid $3,000 each.
Yeah.
For me, and I wouldn't do that right off the bat. And Jeremy brings that up about buying quality, and I do agree. For me, getting back into the game and learning, not because I'd hate to. Look, I'm not in a position right now to be spending $3,000 on something and then lose $1,500 if I only. In other words, for me, buying anything under $200, it's no big deal. Even if I just break even, I'm not. But I can't be doing $2,000-$3,000. And this is why I'm learning from you guys. I mean, Jason called me the one day and says, "Hey Pat, I'm going to drive up to New York. Would you help me?" And I didn't have a clue anything that he picked up there. He just used me for the muscle, and that stuff was heavy, but it was all interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's his bread and butter. I mean, when you buy a storage unit, you just gotta you're buying. I mean, you really got to be careful. I mean, like I said, buy quality, sure, but a lot of the online stuff, it's difficult to figure out if it's quality or not because you just don't get enough pictures. You're right. Mystery. You're going in there. I mean, you got to figure out what your risk factor is. You're going to lose. The way I always looked at when you bought a storage unit was you're losing your money. It's a zero unit, and you go from there. So is it worth spending on that much money on it? You never know. Like Jason bought a bunch of several units that had vintage Nikes in them, but they could have had vintage Nike boxes in them. You just don't know.
It's a gamble. Yeah.
So you're
Now,
betting a little bit. So
Do any of you guys buy from that storagetreasures.com?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
Do
my
you-
questions came from Storage Treasures.
How does that work out? Do you? I'm still unsure, and I should take the time to read it. If the unit goes for $100, what is storage? How are they making money from it? Is there an additional fee?
Storage Treasure charges you the percentage. If you buy the unit for $100, they send you a bill for the 10%. They bill your card on file for the 10% fee. Then you go to the place, you pay them in cash for the rest of it.
Okay.
Plus the yearly subscription fee.
Yeah, it's a $10 a month yearly subscription. So
Yeah, but you don't have to join that. I thought if you don't join,
you don't have to, but you're better off because you buy one unit a year and it'll pay for itself. So
okay,
because it's otherwise it's a 15% commission.
okay.
Yeah.
So
I have to update my file, and I mean there has been a couple units on a local level that I've thought about buying, but I was nervous that I was going to get shocked, sticker shock with the bill, and I didn't follow through, and I didn't make no more bids because I just didn't want to be like, well, you didn't read the fine print. It's there's a 50% surcharge, and I didn't know.
No, they're good. It's actually a nice. The problem is they're not the ones taking the photos. It's the storage facility that's taking the photos, and sometimes it looks like they're using a flip phone from the 90s.
Right.
Sometimes they are using a flip phone in the 90s.
And sometimes they're just awful, and you can't see anything, or they don't take good pictures. They'll snap one shot, and you can't blow the picture up. So then it's just a pure guess.
Yeah, and there's a lot
go to a live one though. I mean,
there's a lot more of those opportunities available right now lately than live auctions. So I have to figure it out. Like exactly.
I think you'll see the live auctions going away, and these online ones are so much easier for them to run.
Right.
I think you'll see more and more of those going around.
And you got to sum it up. You know what kind of vehicle you drive. You have to, you have to look at it and go, okay, am I going to need to get, if you have a little pull behind trailer, am I going to need to do the van and the trailer? Am I going to need a truck that day? How many miles? Okay, U-Haul during the week charges 69 cents a mile in my area. Okay, so I'm going to have, I'm going to add another 100 for that. Then you got to factor in, you got to sit down and go through it. You got to pay to get rid of the junk. And I'm sorry, but there is junk in every single unit. There's a lot of them in most units. But you've also got to factor in, then you got to list it. We talked about that earlier, and you said it's easy to get, backlogged everything else. I mean, if you're really, in the reselling game, making a living through doing, whether it's Craigslist or whatever, whatever your method. I don't like Craigslist because I don't like people, but then I got to bring it into the house. I got to clean it up. I got to photograph it. I got to list it. I've got to put it on a shelf, and then when it sells, I got to ship it out. So there's a lot of, there's a lot that goes into that. If you're just a one-man show, like
right. I am. I mean, I could get my son to help me, but he's got a full-time job now, and my wife is running a restaurant. So I am a one-man show. Yeah. Now, hey, John asked, how did you guys get in on storage lockers?
John Nevermore?
Yeah, John Nevermore Antiques.
Oh, I don't like that guy.
All right, you want me to kick him out?
Yeah. He's probably laughing his rear end off right now.
Probably because Jason and I are still feeling the pain from that last storage unit. So.
For me, it was several years, but not by very many before. I don't know what year the storage things came up. God, I only remember how I found. I used to study the classified. I do remember. We lived in Birmingham at the time. I used to study the classifieds, and one day, being the nerd that I am, I got to reading the legal, and I was like, what the heck is this kind of stuff? And we started out with car parts in about 98 on eBay, and then we started getting antiques and collectibles, and then I started trying to figure out where the auctions were. And back then, internet really wasn't, we had eBay barely, but, a lot of people still advertise in the legal section. A lot of
back then I remember auctions was you went to an auction house and they'd be flyers over by the cashier of all the local auctions that were coming up. That's how you used to be able to find the auctions. Half the time they didn't even advertise them. And you literally find the flyer and then sometimes you get on a mailing list, like a postcard mailing list or
the four of them that all have wrenches are going to block each other. This is
well, yeah, they
and legally in most, depending on your state, legally they still have to give public notice. So things are either done through a legal public notice newspaper. Some states have those, or it's still done through classified ads or whatever. But I just got nerdy and got interested and went and bought a couple of, okay, I'm going to buy these couple that'll fit my pickup truck and, don't want to mess with furniture. And then started talking. I'm going to tell you, learn more at a storage unit auction, talking to the people that are the big buyers and the big hitters, because they're taking that stuff somewhere. And if you can get in between that point A and point B, whether it be as friends or whatever else, that's where you can make your money if you don't want to buy the units. So
yeah, nowadays a lot of your store, actually I won't say most, but a lot of your storage auctions are run by different auctioneers. They're coming and buying out storage units. They drag it all out. They take it back to their auction house. They spread it all out and they sell it by the piece.
That's what happened in my area. We did have an auction, and they did it all day, and they were selling it by the piece out of the unit.
In your area, Pat, there's an auction house in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Oh, well, I'm
that area. It's a bit of a drive for you, I think, going down to Emmitsburg. It's right across the border on 15. They buy probably 25 to 30 units a week, and they literally take them and spread them out on tables and sell them every Sunday morning. I made tens of thousands of dollars off of them because they're walking along. They've got 3 or 4 auctioneers going, big stick in their hands, spread out on white tables, and they just say, from here to the end of the table, $1, and they'll sell stuff $1, $2, $3.
Now, is that something you went into person or was it on?
That's in person. That's an in-person auction. I used to live in that area, so.
Oh, okay.
But it's still going. I can look on auction. You look on AuctionZip, Emmitsburg, Maryland. It's a great way to pick up really, really bulky, lots of stuff. I'd go and spend $200 and my van would be packed. And I would bring that stuff back and I'd either bring it to another auction house if it was more suitable for that, or I'd put it on eBay and I'd make thousands. And they're still there. I mean, but that's all they do is they buy storage units, and they'll also have a regular auction house inside where they sell some of the better stuff they found in the units, guns, coins, gold, instruments, things like that. But there's a ton of stuff out in the on the tables that's just fantastic dollars. But that's a lot of auction houses do that. A lot of auctioneers, that's what they're going and buying storage units, and they're just bringing it back and spreading it out and letting people buy it by the piece now.
There's also a Pocono auction gallery near you, Pat.
I know that guy. I've seen him around. He's been in some of my videos.
Really?
Yeah, he does. I think a lot of the U-Hauls in our area, as far as that guy.
Yeah, my area U-Haul went a little different. I have a friend that's a district manager for U-Haul in Washington, D.C., and he used to sell the units. He would literally be the auctioneer for the units. Up in here in Columbus, I don't know if they still do it that way, but in Columbus, you go to one central location, they do it on video on a video screen. You buy there for all their units they're selling for the entire city.
And I'll be honest until you guys said that. I didn't know that was going on. That people, I bought my first storage unit. I bought 10, 12 years ago. Well, no, I didn't buy it actually. What happened was I had a little handyman business, just doing odd jobs, and I had the employees and my kids. They were teenagers, and we live in a touristy area that a lot of times you get a second home. So somebody wanted me to empty out a unit, and I told the guy, well, because I had the dumpster behind the restaurant, and I'm like, I can use the dumpster space because a lot of times it wasn't filled. So I told the guy he's got to give me $100, and what he doesn't want, I keep. And I sold the stuff for $800 that was in the unit. So that was kind of the first real time. But in my life, I've only bought, and it wasn't until just this past year, now full-fledged reselling got into buying more. But it was one here, one there.
Well, I heard you're dabbling in, what do you call it? Interior decorating now.
Yeah.
A beautiful display behind you.
I got to do whatever pays the bills. I mean, look at you. Look how neat your place. You have out of all of us, you have the neatest.
It's because he doesn't work out of that room.
Yeah, and this is a mess. This isn't that neat.
Oh, okay.
These are great, and there's nothing wrong with them. Just don't get heavily invested in them unless you have a way to get rid of the stuff. That's what it basically boils down to. I would much rather go to a live auction and have a chance to buy in bulk at a live auction where I know what I'm getting. I mean, I've just done so much better doing it that way. And I haven't purchased anything really in the last couple of months.
Well, that's what I want to be one day. Get to a point where, like me and Jason have talked, that if he doesn't buy something for 2 months, it don't matter because he's in a financial position that, he has that buffer. But yet, then he could just list and just sell things. And then, what's going on? Are you doing stuff at the Dollar Tree, Dusty, that I don't know about?
No, I think that was just, I don't know. I think that was poking and making fun, or so. I don't know. But I do know that they did recently had they got in trouble with the FDA or got a slap on the hand recently because a lot of their meds are made.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
China, which, I mean, well, good God, I'm sure half of Walmart is, but apparently they weren't regulating the factories that bad. And there was acne medicine that was made in a factory with rat turds on the floor or something. And there's probably no telling how many products we probably consume.
Yeah, I don't like, I'll be honest, at the Dollar Tree, I don't like any of the shampoos or things like that. They're never the consistency as the same as the name brand ones that you get like at CVS.
So the local lodge that I'm a part of, we have, and I don't know if it's the older clientele or somebody's a germaphobe, but every single table and about every 3 feet on the bar, there's a little pump of hand sanitizer. So one day, one of the guys that's kind of an afternoon regular down there, I'm sitting next to him, and he's like, "Hey, flip that around on the back." And I was like, "Yeah, Greenbrier International. That's, Dollar Tree." And he goes, "Look below that." And it says made in China. And he goes, "So you're wiping stuff on your hands to kill germs that was made in a sweatshop in China." I was like, "Oh, God." When you put it that way, but
Yep.
So it's kind of the running joke down there. Get you some Chinese hand sanitizer.
Now, Dusty, do you sell on Amazon at all or no?
I did. We started on Amazon in 2006 or 2008. I don't remember. I remember the first book we sold was actually a Paula Deen recipe book. And back then you could get, we got stupid money. We got like $16 for a paperback recipe book. We did. And then we got into FBA, and we did FBA for quite a few years. As a matter of fact, we started doing YouTube about 5 years ago. There was kind of a lack of eBay videos because we were doing more Amazon, and in all the years of doing videos, I'm not going to show Amazon stuff. I just never did. I felt like it was shooting myself in the foot. I still do. I think there's a whole big difference between doing eBay videos.
I agree.
And then doing Amazon videos that are in a store where anybody and their grandmother can go there, that are all across the United States or whatever. So we never showed any of that. But we were about 90%. I think our 1099s 4 and 5 and 6 years ago were probably 90% Amazon and about 10% eBay. And now I've still got a store. I got grandfathered into a lot of stuff on Amazon. I've got daily disbursements because the account's so old. They call it a legacy account or something. I got grandfathered into a lot of categories, a lot of different things. And I pay $39.99 a month with not a single thing available to sell on Amazon because I have heard that I will lose a lot of those grandfathered in things if I let go of the professional selling account. So
okay.
I just look at it. I don't know if that's true. I just look at it as a $400.
I don't think you've seen anything in Amazon. Yeah, probably seen anything in Amazon in well over a year.
No, I mean, I've got stuff I could. I lost. They started gating categories. They started getting really. I mean, now they're bad restrictive. We saw the writing on the wall 3 or 4 years ago, and I knew that the writing on the wall still had a ways to go. But I was like, I didn't have faith in the platform anymore. And for me, I wasn't going to put any more eggs in that basket. So we left inventory in there up until I probably recalled the last one about 9 months ago. But we left whatever inventory was left in there and continued to, make money. I mean, make some money, but I haven't seen anything in since. And it's an emergency. It's a safety net if I ever need to go back there for whatever reason. But yeah, just not my thing.
Yeah, I sold more on Amazon last month than I did on eBay, but that doesn't mean I made more because obviously, as you know, with eBay, sometimes you can buy stuff for $100 and sell it for $500, where it's much different on. The only thing I ran into my problem, actually, I just noticed yesterday with Amazon, I was selling those Thai plush toys, and I was selling them on there for 5 months, and all of a sudden, the last 2 got snagged, and it says I wasn't approved to sell them, so I had to recall them.
So now imagine if you had 150 of those.
I know.
That was kind of my point of like, I don't want to wake up. I talked to, and you actually know this person. I'm not going to mention it ties in with what you're saying now. But I actually was talking to somebody this morning, and I said, let me ask you a question. Do you still, and he's a big seller on Amazon. I said, do you still wake up? We were talking about the latest thing where Nike is actually not selling on Amazon anymore. I said, do you still wake up in a panic every morning like I used to and check your email? And there's people in the audience. I mean, Shane Rise and Grinds over there. I don't know who else sells on Amazon, and they know what I'm talking about. I said, and I asked this person, I said, do you still wake up in the morning and check your email and pray that you weren't suspended? He's like, hell yeah. He said, and the minute you don't is the minute you become complacent. And I just, that for me was a platform that, you know, at least with eBay, if I have a problem, I have anchor support. I can call a reasonable, rational human being. And I got to be friends with a lot of Amazon employees over the years. I was part of some group studies and some behind the scenes kind of things. And I've got a guy I could PM right now or call him on the phone that's higher on up there that would probably handle stuff for me. But if it weren't for that, I was like, I don't want to be on this platform anymore. You know, I don't want to wake up knowing that, you know, let's say it wasn't your tie beanies or whatever. Let's say that it was, you know, it was all your stuff and you had thousands of dollars. Let's say, for instance, it was thousands of dollars and you had tied up pretty much everything. You had mortgaged the farm, so to speak, and gone into Amazon. That's a scary, scary thing.
Yeah. And these were tie. What happened was these were tie plush that I bought, retail arbitrage, that I had bought from what's the craft store? Not Michael's.
Hobby Lobby.
No, not Hobby Lobby.
The Holy Roller store?
No, it's Josh. What's that store? The one next to the Dollar Tree in Dixon City that we bought those tie from.
Joanne Fabrics?
No, I can't think about it now. It's over by Home Depot. It's like a craft store.
Michael, Hobby Lobby, Joanne's, Ben Franklin.
No, I can't. Now I can't
See if anybody remembers Ben Franklin.
I do.
I picked them up. They were on sale for $5. They normally sell for $15-20. I was basically selling them for $13-14 on Amazon and pretty much doubling my money after their fee. So I was turning like 5 into 9, 5 into 10. And AC Moore, that's what it is.
Wow.
It was AC Moore. And I looked yesterday and two of them, something about not having, and then when you're new and you're not selling a whole lot, I mean, selling $1,000, you're just not getting ungated that quick. But that was something that I had to recall 2 of those.
Well, it's just really annoying when you've been selling things on there and then suddenly you've had no trouble selling it. Everybody loves your stuff. You're sending it out, no complaints, and then suddenly like, oh wait, we checked. We didn't have you down as authorized. You're not allowed to sell anymore, even though you sold 100 items.
Right. I had them in the poly bags, and I probably sold about 25 of them in the last 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden yesterday.
Well, there's sorry, I was reading something. There's there's a lot more to the IP protection stuff. That was when the first thing that I saw gated was DVDs, and I remember when that happened about 3.5 years ago, and it was all over. It's when the reselling, it was probably 4 years ago, reselling videos on YouTube, reselling Facebook groups and stuff were new. I used to hang out with like Golden Finger Picker and Ronnie Hart and them back then, and there was kind of a core group of people, and they had started a reselling group that kind of dates it at all. But I watched them gate DVDs, and there was a massive stink. And I thought, well, I'm gonna get smart. All they want is an invoice from a distributor. And somebody told me, hey, you can buy from this company in Florida. You go in and pick any of their clearance titles. You're just gonna have $250 minimum purchase. I'm like, hell yeah! So I got ungated in DVDs. Well, now it's by brand. Then it was CDs, and then it was this and that and the other. Then clothing and auto parts got restricted, and now it's by brand. But now you've got IP, people with IP claims and stuff. Brand, you've got a lot of brand protection. And what a lot of people don't take into consideration, and this is something I'm surprised doesn't get talked about a lot more, a lot of these products, if a I'm trying to think of something I got laying here. Here, breathalyzer machine. Just kidding. Found that in a store again. Okay, if Tide Stain Sticks decides that these have a 1-year warranty, but it's only good to the original purchaser, if this is totally, I don't doubt they have a warranty. But if they decide that they have a 1-year warranty and it's only good to the original purchaser, you as a reseller, if you sell that as new, and there are court cases to back this up, they can get you on an IP claim on stuff like that. And that's where more and more companies are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. So if you have a Canon Kodak digital camera or whatever, it probably comes with a 1-year warranty, and they're writing that into their warranties now. Good only to the original purchaser with a valid receipt. And so what happens is retail arbitrage has become more and more dangerous, in my opinion, over the last 3 to 4 years, because the manufacturers, they're like, oh, we don't want all these people selling our stuff. We don't want them going over there and jacking the prices up. And I'm not against retail arbitrage. We're all in that business in a sense. But the manufacturers don't like it. And so what they're doing is writing that stuff into their warranties, where these little clauses in there. And if that clause is in there and you as a reseller resell it as new, technically under the legal definition of the law, you're wrong. And so it just and all that with Amazon was just kind of came to a big head. And I just went, no, I don't know. I really enjoy selling good used goods or even some new stuff, but I enjoy antiques and collectibles. It's an area that I've found that most people are not going to go into. If I could encourage you in anything, I think the car parts thing was awesome, especially when somebody gave them to you at whatever. Learn everything you can. I'm also the nerd that watches Antiques Roadshow every night, and have since 1978 or 79 when I was 6 or 7 years old or whatever year it came on the air. I used to sit and watch that show and just learn and eat up every bit of information I could, because that's the area that most people are scared. They're intimidated by it.
Yeah,
learn about it.
Dusty, how long you been a reseller?
Since 97 or 98.
And you did it, you quit a job, or what did you do before that?
Oh God. I was a paramedic from 1990. I graduated high school in 90, so I really didn't do anything. Although I did work a couple of jobs during high school. We were talking about that today. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's, and I also worked a second job my senior year in high school. I worked about 12 hours a day. I got out of school early. My dad was in the grocery business, so I worked several years in the grocery store. Dad saw the writing on the wall, which, a lot of my business practices and stuff I learned from him. If you see the writing on the wall, fight it, try to figure out a different way. But if the writing is definitely on the wall, and I hate to keep overusing that term, but then go a different direction. Go a different direction, change your business model. And I think that's where a lot of people in business in general, not just resellers, tend to fail. We opened a restaurant in there. I got tired of the grocery business, and we looked around the little small town we were in, and I said, I want to open my own business. My wife goes, what do you want to do? And I was like, there's nothing to eat in this town except for Hardee's and McDonald's and some couple meat and 3 type places. And I was like, I want to open a restaurant that has something different. And so we started from scratch, a restaurant, found a blank building, started from the ground up, designed our own menu, did all the build out in the building ourselves, except for the electrical, the vent hood, and the Ansel system. And had that for a couple of years, then discovered eBay, started reselling. I was kind of burned out on the restaurant and kind of a serial entrepreneur in a sense. I thought for years something was wrong with me when I got bored with stuff, until a good friend of mine explained it years ago. He said, there's nothing wrong with that. And went into reselling. Met a guy at the post office one day, because back then, you filled out delivery confirmation slips and carried your stuff in the post office and checked your PO.
Yeah, I remember those green little slips, right?
Got your money orders or your cash that was always hidden in like an old birthday card or whatever, in the letters in the mail or whatever. And he goes, you sell on eBay? And I was like, no, maybe. And he's like, "You want to make some money?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, I am bringing more car parts out of Florida, buying from junkyards, because no junkyards were online. He said, than I could ever handle. He and I didn't go into business together, but I started traveling with him. We started splitting loads. For about a year, I sold everything on a 50-50 split. And he would hand me like, here's a car stereo that's worth $300. I was like, okay, cool. I mean, it was high dollar items. We sold the restaurant pretty quickly. My dad saw the writing on the wall, got out of the grocery business, got in the UPS store business. I bounced into that back and forth into that for a couple of years and decided I couldn't stand behind a retail counter. And we owned a thrift store. We were hired because of our experience in reselling to start a nonprofit from the ground up. And we ran that for a year and a half until I kind of got bored with it. And I was like, I'm tired of somebody telling me what time to be at work. And went every time, just kept going back to reselling. And I'm not going to go work for somebody else again. There's an old saying, once you're self-employed, you're unemployable. And I think it's pretty true.
And I think it is too. I actually had 4 interviews with Panera Bread, and the last guy said, he goes, "You don't want to work for anybody else," and I really did at the time. I sometimes wish I could, but I'll be honest, with unemployment so low, sometimes it's not even the people you work for. The lack of anybody who gives a damn about things at a job is pathetic. I see it all the time now. I mean, I see it with my wife with what she does, and it's hard to find good help.
I think the only way I could go back to working for someone else, although it's kind of working with him, would be to work with my dad, because he recognized that I took ownership. And because here's the problem: once you're self-employed, if you walk in Panera Bread, you're going to have all kinds of ideas because you've owned a restaurant and you've been self-employed, and they're going to be like, no, everything comes from corporate, and we do it this way and only this way, and all your good ideas are going to get shot down. But if you
but I understand that, because I also used to own a Subway franchise, and I understand the consistency of a name brand of, you're not there to make it Pat's Sub. You follow the formula because that's why they're successful, because they're repetitively doing it
with a franchise,
right. And Panera's that. I wouldn't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved in it. Actually, I've had people offer me, "Hey Pat, why don't you come in and with the restaurant?" And I'm like, nah, I don't want to work on the weekends. Like, the problem with the restaurant business is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're tied there. You're limited how much you can make. If I'm gonna put the time and effort, I'm gonna do it into doing this reselling and making this work. But I do get nervous when I get these emails from Amazon. That now I got to recall 2 items that, in all honesty, going into the holidays, they were plush toys. I probably would have sold them for Christmas.
And I didn't mean to at all to scare you on that, but just remember, and this was what I had to constantly remember when I was doing eBay and Amazon both, and I lost faith in Amazon. Everything that I pick up for Amazon, I've got to make sure it's got at least enough value to get my money back over on eBay.
Yeah.
In case something happens with Amazon, and I think you're probably fine. Like those 2 you recalled or whatever they were, you could probably turn around and put them on, easily put them on eBay and probably get at least your cost back, probably make a little money.
Yeah. I mean, I already made money on the other 25, so it's not going to be the end of the day. I mean, to be only $5, worst case scenario, I can give them. They're wrapped up in the poly. I can give them to my nieces for Christmas or something like that. So they're not going to go in the garbage and stuff. Hey, Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's commenting how much they love your keyboard.
Or don't love your keyboard. Click, 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 click.
Jason, last we talked, you were having issues at the warehouse. It's been like 2 months. I haven't talked to you really in 2 months. And you were getting the air conditioning and the heat fixed, and you couldn't do things at the warehouse. What's going on now?
Oh, it's all fixed up.
It's all fixed up.
Yeah.
Gorgeous now, right? You can actually go in. Last year it was crazy. He'd come in and he'd be sitting there with his coffee and his hat on and his jacket. He's like, when he gets to 60, I'll start working. You know.
Yep.
Now that
That's
he
all.
walks in, it's 70 degrees. He's happy.
Yeah. It's all
When I was there, it was hot and sticky.
Yes, don't remind me. Oh God, it was the funniest thing. It was the first time I met Pat in person. I'll never forget this. And we're in the back room.
And you were hot and sticky.
It's hot as hell. And then we come back into the main room and he's talking. And all of a sudden he's wearing a shirt just like he's doing now. All of a sudden he starts unbuttoning his shirt. He gets down to about the third button, and I'm about to say, listen, Pat, I'm not that type of guy.
All of a sudden, Pat reaches down and clicks a little button. He's like, I'm a lawbreaker in this town. Let's go.
Apparently, Pat just wanted to show me a surgery scar, but I didn't know him very well at the time. I was like, yo. That was funny.
But it was hot and sticky there. Actually, I forgot because we had been talking about things, and I actually did this. I did the same thing when I met Scott. I was teasing him. I said, "Who has the better scar, me or his wife?" And
Dude,
I kind of forgot that I did that.
It was so hot. You were like glistening, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
you were a glisten. Don't ever say that again.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah, because we've all vacationed with Jason, and now I'm kind of concerned.
So at least you knew everything was all right because you picked me up and we drove up to New York and in the rain. So
what, you were glistening?
that stuff was heavy. Did you list or sell any of that stuff yet from when we drove up to New York?
Oh yeah, I sold a lot of that stuff actually. I don't have much of it left actually.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and like I said, a lot of that stuff I wouldn't even know.
Everyone wants to see my keyboard.
All right, hold on.
That's what she said.
There it is, folks. That's the noise maker that you guys hate.
My keyboard is like 15 years old. I mean, honestly, it's old dusty keyboard. So,
Jason, could you unbutton your shirt?
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
I know. I'm teasing you. How are things going with you, Jason? I know your wife had to have surgery too, and you and Eric haven't been active on YouTube.
Have you ever seen Misery with Kathy Bates?
Oh,
she's tied to the bed right now, but other than that, she's fine. Jason's a Stephen King fan, so a big Stephen King fan. So that's kind of my running joke. Like, have you untied her today or let her out of the house?
Well, she had called when we were together. She had called on the phone, and I know the phone call got dropped or something like that, and then she called back, and he's like, "Can you get it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I talked to her for a couple of minutes, and I don't think she was in a good mood. You said that day, but she was fine with me on the phone. That's when the power went out. Remember?
Yeah, that's why she was in a bad mood.
Yeah,
she has to have TV or something. No power. She's just not happy.
So I'm there being nice to her on the phone, not knowing what's going on, and she's probably in her head thinking, "I just want to talk to my husband. Let me talk to him."
So, what were you saying before, Pat? I'm so tired. I lost my train of thought.
He was asking. Never mind.
You asked me something, a question.
We were talking about the stuff that you sold from New York.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did sell just about all of it. Yeah.
Well, didn't you have a period there for about 6 or 7 weeks? You really weren't listing nothing on eBay, but were you still selling?
Oh, no. I took my store down when Jessica had surgery for 2 months. I completely closed everything.
You know what? Don't ever, and I know it wasn't a vacation, but I don't ever want to hear again about my vacations after you took your store down for 2 months.
Well, first of all, you take like a vacation every 3 weeks, okay?
Because I believe, you know what? It's a European thing.
So this is I've been back up for
a 4-hour work.
26 days or 28 days I've been back.
That's it?
Yeah.
And you've done how much in sales in those 28 days?
In 28 days, I did 20. What is it?
You did more. You did more than I've done in the last year.
$25,984.
Wow.
Jason has, but it's once again, it's back to
Hit
what
the
it's
ground running.
for you. He sells higher end items that require a little more, knowledge or work or whatever, and he will list 600 auctions and launch them all at one time.
Right. Dusty here.
It works.
Now, do you know Brian the Oak Brook Picker?
Not personally, but yes. I mean,
Okay.
yes, YouTube, but no,
Strategies for improving sales on eBay right now that are working for you guys with long tail type listings.
Eric.
Just keep listing.
Eric's face is covered up by his question. That's awesome.
That's because I'm nagging. No, I mean, really, long tail is all it is just you're waiting for the right person to come along. Don't worry about it. You've done the work. Don't worry about it. That's my philosophy about it. If I do the work on it and get the listing up, I could care less about it. I don't care how long it sits. That's my strategy. Jason's is completely different. He doesn't like long tail. He'll get rid of something if it's been up for 30, 60, 90 days and he's got no movement on it. He doesn't want it in his store. I have an anchor store. I got plenty of listings. I don't care.
Or he'll sell it tonight.
See, I'm the opposite. I like to keep as little inventory as possible. Like right now, I think I have how many items? 352 items.
Now, Jason, do you sell anything under $20?
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's all over the place. I mean the highest thing this month was 1,000 something, and the lowest was $10 is the lowest I go. So
okay.
Anywhere $10, I bother with it.
Yeah,
but
I've got things in my store for $6, $7, but it's because I have usually large quantities of that stuff.
But I've also bought some of Jason's leftovers, and they were manuals that he'd already run through. You'd already run through auction once or twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, he's like, I got 150 something manuals, and I was like, XYZ shipped. He shipped them to me because I ship every day. I try to ship 6 days a week. Sometimes I miss Saturdays if it's been a long Friday night, but I ship 6 days a week, so I don't mind those little small items that I can reach up here and grab a bubble mailer and throw it in a bubble mailer and ship it out. But for him, he doesn't, he goes in a couple times a week and ships. So I bought those items from him. They weren't, a home run, but it was stuff that he didn't want to deal with. And for me, they were long tail manuals and computer books that I enjoy listing, So it's whatever works for a certain person.
Yeah. I'm just of the philosophy, Adam Exwood says he says he does care if it sits very long and he adjusted the pricing keywords, it's probably unsellable. I don't adjust anything. I adjust pricing when I do my relisting just because I'm moving. I don't want to just relist and just it'd be the exact same thing. I'm moving the price by 1% at most. So that's the only pricing adjustments I do. I do sales and then I don't worry about it. If the stuff that I sell, it takes the right buyer to come along, and that buyer might not realize they need that item or want that item for 6 months or a year, 2 years, and maybe they just got into collecting something. I mean, I don't care. It's for me because I've already done the work. If I've already done the work, I'm not going to throw something out. Now, if I had an anchor store and I had 9,000 items and I was worried about running out and then having to start paying for more listings, I might think about it. But
I think it also depends too. Like, if somebody's living in a 1-bedroom apartment doing this out of a closet, then they're going to worry about long tail items.
Yeah,
if you've got a garage
it can be an issue. I mean, but for me, it's not. I don't work because again, I've got a 3-drawer horizontal filing cabinet over there that's got 4,000 stock certificates in it. It takes up a little bit of space. Those will take forever to sell, but I've made $5,000 off of them already. So I sell 1 or 2 a week, sometimes 10 or 20 a week. It just depends on what comes along. I mean, but again, everybody's strategy has got to be that's the beautiful thing about eBay is it's your strategy, your store. You decide what you're going to do.
Right, and because everybody also has different what they need as far as money, and some people can do good doing $50,000 and making $25,000. Some people.
I remember when I started this full time. When I decided to get back and start selling full time, which is 5 years ago this month, I was happy to make $25 a day. I was like, yeah, if I make make a sale a day and I'm making $25 a day, which in a month's time, it's only $750. that's not much, but what it was doing was building my store up and getting comfortable with the process, the listing, the shipping, understanding the markets and everything. And I was selling clothing, and I was following people on YouTube teaching me how to do this, because I'd been out of the game for eBay, because for several years I would only put things that I knew I could flip really quickly for a decent price on eBay, because I was doing live auctions for most of my stuff. But when you sit back and you say, okay, now I'm gonna do this for real, I'm gonna dedicate time and space to it, you got to figure out what you got. If you're working a full-time job, you can't necessarily have 3,000 listings and constantly listing and shipping and all that stuff. So everybody has to set the business up to be themselves, and nobody on YouTube can tell you how to run your own business.
Yeah,
I think, and Adam's exploits came back and said, if you were selling specialty items, it's different, Eric. I'm talking about clothing that is oversaturated. And that's one of the reasons, and Eric and I have been accused of it times for bashing clothing sellers. It's an oversaturated market. If you're selling, if you're selling Nike jerseys, I'll sell anything Alabama, anything vintage, anything military. But outside of that, it's typically an oversaturated market.
Yeah, I agree, and I sell clothes.
I've got two motorcycle jackets there. They're worth about $200 a piece. Those I'll list. I've got two vintage, they're motorcycle-related racing Isle of Man T-shirts from the 90s. I'll sell those. I'm not going to go out and buy clothing, because I was doing clothing 5 years ago. You could make a good living on clothing 5 years ago. You can still make a good living on clothing, but the amount of effort to make a good living on clothing compared to grabbing a stack of almanacs that I can get $40 a piece and they're this big. I mean,
yeah, I've become really picky on clothing now anymore. I'm not just going out, even $4 could be too expensive for a pair of pants. Go ahead, Dusty.
Sorry, I think the problem is, because I'm just sorry, it just kind of popped in my head. But like Eric said, when he was getting back into the game, he's watching the videos, everything else. If you go start reselling, there's a lot, and this is not bashing anybody's channel. But if you're new and you're like all of us were new at one time, and I didn't have the luxury of, I happened into and got lucky at a couple of estate sales and moved out of car parts and went, wow, there's money in antiques and collectibles. And I'm a nerd that likes to watch Antiques Roadshow, and I'm going to go that direction. But if you're new to this and you go search reselling on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of channels that are clothing, and they're popular and they have a lot of subscribers. And like I said, not bashing anybody's channel, but just because somebody has a lot of subscribers and there's a lot of comments and they're popular doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best method for reselling. And I think what the trap that people tend to fall into is that they jump onto these channels and they go, like you said earlier, Pat, like I'm seeing what I'm here. It's hard to take all this information in and go, right, well, crap, I don't know where I want to go. And ultimately, you have to kind of instinctively go with your gut, what you enjoy, what's working good for you. If all of a sudden you Patdees 72 goes to the store and goes, okay, what have I sold the most of in which category in the last month, and what's brought me the most money, and you sit down and you start kind of examining all that, and all of a sudden you're like, man, it's magazines. I'm just making something up, or it's postcards or whatever.
Right.
I love selling. Go for postcards. There's a guy, and I don't know if he's watching, postcard guy something. I can't remember.
Popeye's postcards.
And he makes a living selling postcards.
Right. Yeah, I know. I like baseball cards. I know a guy locally that does over $250,000 a year selling sports memorabilia and stuff. That's why with me, I think what happens is with clothing, in my opinion, because it is so accessible and easy to find, and people got clothing. Let's face it, a lot of people have clothing in their own closet that they don't wear because they've been guilty of just buying into those Kohl's 70% off sales. It's just easy for them to start. For me though, I have a tractor trailer load right now of clothing that I just don't. I know that it's just not worth taking the time to sell. Hey guys, if you want to, please address any questions that I'm missing, because I'm kind of missing the chat sometimes. But
No,
Well-
you're. I apparently in the middle of my little tirade, and I'm sorry. I talked.
No. Everybody's enjoying the
Well-
show. You guys are a lot of wealth of information, and this is why I liked actually doing the show, because people want to make money from home. It doesn't even mean they need to do it full time like we do, but sometimes it's just a matter of making extra money to take a vacation, a car payment, and stuff like that. So I appreciate all the knowledge that you guys bring to the table.
I guess for me, like you said, sometimes it's just whatever. It's not whatever. I mean, I've been down on my luck probably more times than I want to count. In 23 years of marriage, if I can help somebody else, I don't want to go down that path again. Am I creating myself competition? No, not really, because the way I look at it, if eBay now becomes the place to go to for antiques and collectibles and things like that, that's making the marketplace better. My kids that are 18 and we had a daughter turn 21 last night. Got to watch her legally take a shot of vodka at Dave & Buster's, which was awesome because she doesn't even drink. But she's like, well, I got to do it. It's my 21st birthday. She turns around. She's like, oh, my God, that was awful. And I was like, yep, just keep remembering that. So not that she's never drank before, but, but my kids that are 18 and 21 years old don't even know what eBay is. I don't want to see this marketplace die. Because the old people that are buying Jason's tools, the old guys that are buying Eric's, whatever, we have a generation that doesn't really appreciate the things that we are trying to sell.
I agree. My kids are selling online. They're selling online because they see the money. They don't like the story like I do. Like, see, when Eric brings out that Christmas Carol book, there's where I would want to make a YouTube video because I'd like to go follow him to the museum, know the history of it, sort of like American Picker style. And that's where I get sidetracked in reselling, is wanting to know the story of an item like that and present it to YouTube. Do you make money doing that? No, you really don't, because you.
But if you find that fascinating, that history of items and antiques and collectibles and stuff, that may be your gut telling you something. You know what I mean? That might not.
I do. I love it.
That might be a great area for you to start concentrating in more because you have an interest in it.
Yeah, I do. I'm a big fan of American Pickers is my favorite. I love history, and I didn't have much as a kid growing up too, so I'm very nostalgic and value things that a lot of kids today just are so quick to throw away. Let's address that question by Lady Luck Junk. Long tail items hanging around 60 days, 90 days on and on. Does it bring all of your items down in search, or just the older ones? And I don't know the answer. I'm going to ask what these guys think.
eBay themselves has in the past said that items will go stale after 90 days. They've admitted that.
We talked about that prior in the show. She may have not been in there. Yeah, it's a lady. She may have not been in here earlier. I would personally recommend, at minimum, Eric, do you agree, every 30 days at least, ending your items and hit relist.
If you have the items to spend, I mean, if you don't want to go over your listing, otherwise maybe do it every 60 days or do a portion of your listings every month. Like I said, I do a couple hundred every day. But if you go back and say, you know what, because I know you can look at date and you can sort by the oldest items and look at them like that. Maybe look at your last 100 items that were old and say, you know what, maybe I'm just going to pop them in, refresh them, change the price, do something with them, but do it in the bulk editor so you're not spending time doing it. We can end our store, relist our store in a matter of about 20 minutes. So don't spend a lot of time at it, but just do a fresh refresh, and I guarantee you'll sell items that have been sitting for months, and suddenly it's up there in the search engine.
Earlier in the story, and I never finished that because my thoughts kind of work really weird, but I said I had $12. It was actually on Thursday. I actually keep a little. I got to cut it down because I have tape to my thing, but I keep a little thing. This is my little sheet that it's backwards. That says eBay relists. I have gotten off track back in there because it was really more in here where I discovered the relist thing. And when we had the glitches, I can't do this backwards thing. When we started having the glitches, this was Thursday. I looked at Eric and said, I'm going to end everything, even though it's only been 9 days. And I'm going to relist. I went from $12 after, 5 o'clock in the evening. You're 17 hours of the day at that point. I sold like 12 items by the next morning. I really don't feel like that's a placebo effect or my imagination, because I do know for a fact that when I search my own items after I do a fresh relist, they have new listing out next to them. There's a bump. You can search your own items by best match, and you will show a bump in search with a new relist.
Yeah. Danny asked a question that is one of my little pet peeves, and I've mentioned it before. When you start doing reselling, apparently she's doing Facebook Marketplace, hoping to get to eBay. Someone told her that go to Mercari first and Poshmark, then eBay. What are your thoughts? I will never waste my time with Poshmark or Mercari. If you're going to put the work in, why not put the work in on the platform that has the most people looking at it? Posh is probably better for high-end clothing. If you have high-end clothing, maybe do it there. I don't understand why everybody wants to run to these other platforms when you still have eBay out there that is the second largest e-commerce platform out there. Although Walmart's probably gotten bigger now. I don't know, from a reselling standpoint.
Right.
Amazon's number one. eBay by far blows away Mercari and Poshmark and all those other ones. I just don't even understand that let's get our items in front of fewer people. Let's go to eBay first. If you're going to do anything, go to eBay first. Learn to be an e-commerce seller. Learn to be a reseller on eBay.
I listed my first item on which one was it? Was it Mercari? Because
Mercari, because it was a banned item on eBay.
And it was really super easy. Like, I just clicked it. What's that? I mean, like, I was like, I could get the hang of this. It's one simple page, whatever. It was a CPAP machine. And I was like, okay, it's not visible. And then like 2 hours later, I got the banned item thing. Because so one of y'all in the audience told me that you could list CPAP machines on Mercari, and apparently you can't.
You can or you can't? Did I hear that?
You cannot.
Right. That's what I thought, because it's a prescription type. Right.
Yeah.
Which is
Now, Dusty pointed out Brian is sell similar. Which one and why? I think good to cancel is because eBay expects people to sell replenishables, not one-offs like most small sellers do.
See, and that's eBay's problem. Is eBay has always wanted to be Amazon.
Whether, as far as the question, relist versus sell similar, if any of your, and I have 2,500 listings, so there's a good portion, probably 300 to 400 of them that have a quantity, or did at one time a quantity of more than one. If you do sell similar, if you end and do sell similar, it's going to carry over your original quantity. It's not going to take into account, oh, he had 5 of those, but he sold 3. He only has 2 left. He ends them, does relist. Relist will only list those 2. Sell similar will list the 5 again. So that's a big problem unless you know your inventory inside and out, and you know for a fact that you only have 1. For years, and Brian, we talked about this earlier in the show, and I don't think you were in here yet. For years, there's been this misconception. It's been pretty much spread through, Facebook reselling groups and YouTube and stuff, that you don't get a bump if you do relist. Well, I can end my item, go do a relist. I can go straight to eBay, search for my item, and it will say new listing, and it will be way up at the top in best match. So that's baloney. It has to have a new item number. One gives you a new item number. One doesn't give you a new item number. Like Eric said earlier, with relist, apparently and I haven't tested this one, but it does carry your watchers. Your watchers never know it ended and relisted, correct, or what? Or it carries.
They do see it, but it still shows up in their watch listings.
There you go. So that's positive. So I think there's more positives to relist than there is to sell similar.
I did sell similar one time, and it so jacked up my stuff. It took me 2 weeks to get it right again, and I never do a relist, sell similar again. Relist is how I do it, and you don't have any problems with it, because again, it carries over everything that you had, so you can't really get messed up on it. Sell similar means you got to make sure that everything is right and the quantities are right. And when you're doing quantities, you're going to do 200 sell similars. That's a pain in the butt. So yeah, you do relist if you're going to do something like that. Again, and you don't have to do it all, do your entire store. Just watch your listings and see where you're at. But eBay is the best marketplace to learn to be an online seller. It's fairly forgiving. It used to be rough. I mean, it used to be if you screwed things up, man, they would boot you off in a heartbeat. But they've gotten a lot better. They're a lot, it takes more to build your store up on eBay, but it doesn't take long. 6 months on eBay, and you'll have a fairly successful store if you do all right. So, Jason's gone.
Danny said, "I'm afraid of the fees with eBay. Is that naive of me?"
eBay fees are 9% on average, because fees are different for different things you sell, but 9% on average is how I figure them. And then PayPal fees is another 3 to 4%.
Right. Yeah, 2.7 plus I think 35 cents. That don't bother me at all. If I could sell the stuff, that's a cheap cost of doing business.
14%.
Well, and we could get into the whole promoted listings thing too. A lot of people don't want to pay. Why do I pay eBay? I shouldn't have to pay more money to promote my listings, everything else. And Pat, when you said that, it kind of reminded me of something. People, when I look at my promoted listings, and it usually gives me an extra $3,000 to $3,500 a month in sales, and on average it's about $280 for promoted listings. I do that all day long if all my stuff would sell.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense, right?
Well, eBay 2 years was it? About a year and a half ago, maybe. eBay said, we're not going to advertise other people's products on our pages, but you got to pay for that advertising space somehow. So eBay said, well, we'll give our sellers a chance to advertise, and that's all we're doing is advertising.
Oh, thank
God. Advertising on the platform. So we replace that income to kind of protect the platform. And you do it or you don't do it. It's up to you, and you can pick your percent and how much you want to pay. But I guarantee you, I spend once a month. I spend $100 a month on promoted listings, but it guarantees me $1,500 to $3,000 in sales. So.
You okay, Dusty?
Blame it on the dog. Yeah. Apparently Jason had to go handle some dog issues. So anyway.
Well, the dog was typing, messing with his keyboard.
The dog typed really loud, and
I know.
Nerves.
Everybody thinks it's Jason. It's not.
Here's a really good example of paper. You received $93.94. It was love letters, and they weren't even like cool World War II love letters.
Those Vietnam ones, right?
They were the love letters that started at the tail end of Vietnam. I got them from an estate. I bought the contents. Well, that's kind of convoluted, but I bought the contents of
a chest, wasn't it?
State, and there were boxes and boxes and boxes of these love letters where the guy had been stationed over in, I don't remember. I'd have to go look at what I sold, but stationed over in wherever, and he had written his wife several times a day.
Somebody's selling something on eBay.
There's a manual I sold for $14 ship, and it's a setup instruction manual that literally weighs 2 ounces. And I had hundreds of those. That's another long tail thing. But anyhow, these love letters, most people would pass by and they'd be like, "Oh, there's all these boxes of letters. Like, who wants all that?" I threw them all out. I was going through on a rampage in my office, and I just threw them all on a table and I listed them. And somebody bought them for $79.99 plus shipping. So, and that's paper that most people would have.
Now, who do you think? Now, Dusty, who do you think was the? I was thinking about that. Who would be the end customer? Could it be even like a studio that would look to tie it to film or something like that?
We've sold a few things. You can usually tell by we've sold something to the set. We sold a typewriter to the set of Boardwalk Empire. We've sold a couple things to Tyler Perry Studios outside of Atlanta over the years. And
the Marvelous Miss
Maisel, which is an Amazon show. We sold some glass knobs, and I watched the whole freaking series going, "Where are my knobs?" We've sold a lot of stuff to movie studios over the years. I think, honestly, this is probably going to be, print shipping label. Hold on. This is probably going to be somebody that has interest in, oh, wow, he actually lives in Birmingham, 100 miles from here. Lot of hundreds of letters home from Soldier 702nd Maintenance Battalion, Vietnam.
Hey, real quick, I want to say, hey, thanks for stopping in. Good night. It is late here. He's in New Jersey. And thanks again for the super chat. You're always supportive of me and the channel, so I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
And your Arby's have it.
Yeah.
I love Arby's. And 702nd Maintenance Battalion, Vietnam and Korea. So my guess is it's probably somebody that served in the 702nd Maintenance Battalion, because I went to the extra trouble to figure out, based on, you know, the APO AE return address and kind of things he had done and what else I knew from the estate, and I put that in there. My guess is it's probably somebody that maybe served in that maintenance battalion, or I don't know.
You know, a lot ephemera collectors are an odd group. They will collect the weirdest stuff just because, you know, they'll go through, they'll read it. You get people that are screenwriters that are buying that type of stuff, looking for ideas. There's all kinds of stuff out there. That's why you got to be really careful with paper. Paper, it doesn't look like it's worth anything, but suddenly, you know, that was what, 90 some bucks you got for that?
He's actually an attorney. I just Googled his name, and wow, that's a nice office. He's an attorney in Birmingham. So he's a guy that probably is a war collector.
Yeah. You get a lot of that.
Where he represents the guy whose stuff I just sold.
Yeah, World War II love letters are worth serious money. You know, if you get a nice collection of World War II love letters, you're $300, $400, $500.
Just go look up sometime on eBay. Go look up a war love letters, you know, and go to Souls and sort by highest price, put shipping, you know, down or whatever. And
I mean, you think about that 50 years from now. I mean, the kids aren't sending postcards now, doing things. It's like this postcard that I just picked up. It's from this is 100 years old. 1920.
What's the thing on the front?
It's the new Chicago and Northwestern Railroad Station, Chicago.
Yeah. So now you got two different collectors. You got postcard and you got railroad collectors.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a nice card. It's not super old. It's 1920s, which is not super old when it comes to postcards, but it's still, you know, 100 years old. And
100 years old, right?
And if you get $10 for that thing, it's going to cost you $2.66 to ship it. And you've got $10, you know, and you've got nothing because you bought 1,000 postcards for what, $100. I mean, you got a penny or two.
Yeah, I mean, I bought 3,000 postcards over the summer, at 3 different times, and I that's my problem. I get sucked up into the story of where the background of it.
I tell you one thing I do with postcards and with yearbooks both, and I think it's where some people miss the boat, is when you put the city, when you put Chicago, spell out Illinois, and also put IL, because not everybody, you got to think like a buyer. Not everybody searches the same way. So if somebody puts, and I don't think that eBay has a wild card as far as state abbreviations. You know, sometimes if you search for one word, they'll show you the shorter version. I don't think they do what they used to not to, unless they've changed it. But put both the abbreviation and spell out the state. Because if somebody searches Chicago IL and you have Chicago with Illinois spelled out, they're never going to find your postcard.
Yeah.
So make sure when you list anything that has a city and state,
okay,
put both the state 2-letter state abbreviation as well as out the state. Figure out a way. Yearbooks, postcards, you know, things like that.
Now, going back real quick, I want to address which is a neat story. And Jeremy says, I guess they're selling a vintage Harley they got to American Pickers. So I wonder if that's something they're buying themselves or to sell in a store. If that'll make the show or not. But that's a neat story. And to sell something to a big television show, Mike and Frank. That's pretty cool. Hey, Jason, I saw you grab a pile of books there.
Yes, I thought since we're talking ephemera, I thought this was kind of cool.
Sure.
This is a well, you don't have to zoom in on me. Well, yeah, I guess you can, but
okay.
So it's an ordnance supply for headquarters, and it lists the item and the actual dollar price. So, for example, like there's a where is it? There's a medium tank T-23 76 millimeter, and it's $91,000.
I'll take that.
It's just pretty cool.
And how much was that one worth?
I would think it's 100.
Yeah, because I remember you had some that we looked up that were.
I have lots of like cool ones, like
you got some machine gun ones and
machine gun.
That's a rifle.
Oh yeah, sorry. Where's the machine gun one?
The thing is, even if with like paper ephemera, even if it's not worth a ton, okay, that's cool. Even if it's not worth a ton, let's say it's only worth $9.99 plus shipping or whatever, it doesn't take up any space. It doesn't take, and once again, going back to clothing, even after listening to these Vera Bradley bags, all the item specifics, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to measure the drop of the strap of the purse and everything else.
That's a 1925 Calvary, so you probably still got horse cavalry in there. So,
now, Jason, where did you pick these up at?
The Dollar Tree.
These were at just some random auction I bought
online.
Okay.
Oh yeah, online. Yeah.
My son is asking. He's got some letters from the war, 1942. Some letters in German, I believe. Are they worth anything?
Oh my gosh! So I was going to ask if that was your son because it's the same last name. So is he literally, or is he selling all of your grandparents' stuff?
No, I didn't have. He lives out on his own. He's 30 years old.
I'm just making sure he's not selling all your family heirlooms.
No, to be honest, he's been kind of. He's driving around town now where he lives, and people are throwing stuff away, and he's asking if he could have it, and they're giving stuff to him.
Is he doing good with the reselling stuff, or is he just getting started in reselling?
He's helped me on the side over the last couple of years, and he's doing it. He sold $200 worth of stuff last week that he probably had $40 into it. So nice. It's just extra money for him. I manage his 401k for him and stuff. So I'm always on him about saving, and I'm big on not throwing stuff into the landfill that has especially value of the story and things like that. And so I'm a sentimental guy. I don't have nothing from my parents. Unfortunately, they didn't have their priorities straight. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why I love when and I see it so many times that people are like, we'll just throw it away. And I'm like, and it could be something even that other people would think it's stupid. And I'm like, well, that was your grandmother's. I mean, I know you can't keep everything, but if it's something like it was given as a gift. Like I have cards from my grandmother when I was 8 years old. I don't know if you remember back in the day.
I'm the same way.
The banks used to give those little folders that could hold dimes or quarters, and it would be like Santa Claus or a candy cane. I still have some of those with, like, my gram gave me $2 one year. It with the quarters in the slots. I still have the quarters, and that because that's a memory for me. And I didn't grow up into like the kids do nowadays, where they have $600,000 phones every 6 months. So for me,
my grandmother used to give me what were the silver dollars that weren't silver? Late 70s Eisenhower's. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She'd give me Eisenhower dollars, and they'd be in a little Avon box that her powder had come in. So you'd get these dollars, and I can still, every time I smell Avon powder, I think of my great grandmother, and that was her thing. That's a silver dollar. We grew up later, and we're like, okay, there's actually no silver content, but whatever. To answer Nathan's question on the war letters, oh heck yeah! I mean, absolutely.
eBay's international. I mean, German letters are going to be worth something. You may be shipping them overseas, but that's the whole point, is it's worth something. I mean, and that's because it's a one of a kind item. List it high and let it fly. I mean, throw it up for, I don't know how many you have, but you'd be sitting on $100, $200 worth of stuff there. You just don't know.
So if I can get nostalgic for a minute, because you were getting nostalgic, and I'm like you. If my mom gave me something, my grandpa, I can't never get rid of it. Even if I have to go store it in a box somewhere, it's just, I'm very sentimental. You were talking earlier about Disney Plus, which I said we'd come back around to that, but I did sign up for that. I actually did the which actually worked out great because Alabama lost today, but Alabama football was on ESPN. So I did the whole bundle with Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu. We already had Hulu, and we have the commercial free. So what they do is they just give you a discount on that $12.99 bundle. They give you a $5 discount or something like that.
$5 discount.
That apply. You keep your Hulu and you pay your $11.99 or whatever we're paying a month. But long story short, we were all sitting around talking about that the other day, and we were going down through the movies, and it was like Candle Shoe, which had Jodie Foster in it. I mean, do you remember, Pat, did you grow up? You have a 30-something year old. I'm 47 years old. I'm assuming.
Me and you are the same age. That's where the 72 comes in.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. Today I went. I was trying to. I went to YouTube and I put in Patdees 42, and I was like, no, it's 72.
No, if you type in Patdees, it still comes up.
Okay, so we were born the same. Wait, what month were you born?
February.
Oh, you're not my long lost twin then.
No, same birthday as well, not same year. Ronald Reagan and Babe Ruth.
I was September, so. But yeah, I grew up with those movies, and when Eric and I were and Jason, we were all kind of going down through, and I'm like, there's Return from Witch Mountain, and there's all the Disney
Apple Dumpling Gang,
the computer that wore tennis shoes.
Yeah, with Tim Conway and I the first movie I watched the other day was the first one of the Herbie the Love Bug. Yeah.
The first I watched The Rocketeer. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
That's not that old. That's 90s, but it's $7. Like I said, if they straighten out the streaming issues, and I'll be a customer for a while. If they don't, then I won't be. So,
I mean, I had it where I got an error, but I'll be honest, I just reload, hit the button, okay, and 15 seconds later it came up and stuff like that. But
I think the only thing I don't like is that if you want to find, I wish they had we also do Hulu, Vudu stuff. They Vudu has a thing where you can search by decade. I wish I could search only 1970s movies. There's a lot of stuff that they could do, and I'm sure they're open to suggestions because they're Disney, but they could do to the interface. I don't care about the cartoons, or make it be more kind of a progressive type learning thing where the more you watch this or the more you watch that, like it does with Hulu, the more, or Netflix, the more it suggests this or that or the other. Because what we were finding is that when you went down to the classic movies or whatever, it would show you Candle Shoe and it would show you this, but then you only saw 15 movies. But once you went into Candle Shoe and it said, people, what was it, suggested,
yeah.
Then it showed all these other movies, and Eric was screen sharing. I was like, oh my God, those are all awesome movies. I never thought about those.
Now my son is saying they do have decades, so he's more really into it than I am.
They do have decades. How do you get to that?
Yeah, you have to let us, because we really haven't explored it that much, but
yeah, I didn't even know. That's something I'm learning too. So
now another tip that my little brother gave me. He has Verizon. Is that what I said the other day, Eric?
Yeah, Verizon. You get it for free.
You get it for free with Verizon.
Sort of what T-Mobile does. T-Mobile does something right now with Netflix.
I have T-Mobile, and I don't pay for Netflix as part of my account. So
I pay $5, but it covers four TVs. So and because my son, both my sons and my wife are on it, so my son lives a half an hour away, and he can be on the same account.
That's what we've done with our daughter. That's one of the things I learned, like Costco, Sam's Club. My wife and I, if we go to Costco or Sam's Club, we're always going to go together. So we always give the second part of the membership, or when
right. Yeah. Well, I was teaching my son Nathan about the phone. He was paying $125 a month on his own plan. I said, because he wanted
to put on yours for $25 or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it cut it in half because of the phone. If you're not buying the phone and you're doing the finance phone through them, it's
right.
Still, I saved him $700. Now, if I wanted to borrow $100 from him, I don't know if he'd lend it to me. But I saved him $700 just a year on the. But what he did for me is he pays for the WWE network for $10 a month. So, he helps the old man out on that, and we share that.
I have my daughter on my phone. I've got my daughter and my mom on my plan. I mean, it's, I pay for those and
right.
Don't worry about it. I mean, I pay a couple $100 a month for service, but I have, I think, 5 different lines on there. So,
John, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but
I don't either. I was about to message him and ask him because I
think he's talking about something else that's going on somewhere else, but no.
I think Dex. Yeah, hi Tara. She's been watching the Disney Plus shows free on Modra. I have no idea.
I don't know what that is, Mobro or something like that.
They said The show box is gone.
Hey, Jose, thanks for stopping in. Hey, guys, we're basically a little bit over the 2-hour mark. I want to thank everybody that did join us. I want to really appreciate Dusty. I've been wanting to have him on the show, and there's a lot of stuff we could have even asked. We didn't talk about YouTube at all, but
which is good.
You know, when we do these shows, I want to make sure that this show went fast tonight because there was a lot of things to talk about and information to put out there. So. But I do appreciate everyone stopping tonight. If you guys could hit the thumbs up. And real quick before we go, I want to go around the panel of the guys and just what's going on as far as if you guys want to share anything what's going on personally or this week or YouTube related.
It's working.
No, I'm literally in that mode of, I hate the term death piles, but I'm in that mode of like, I've got all those car parts still left in the garage that need to come in the house. I've got stuff I need to bring from the warehouse, but I've made a commitment to go through junk. Like that table behind me that used to always be full. I actually took a big, what fit in a regional A box full of crap and threw it in there and listed it and sold it within about 20 minutes for like $40 shipped. And it was like old stuff. And I mean, they were cool little things like Boy Scout pins and stuff. I mean, nothing was sterling. The good stuff had all been picked out, you know. But yeah, I saw some immediate money from it and it was very freeing. I vacuumed. I have a black carpet in here because we have antique hardwood floors. And so I have a black carpet in here that gets every little speck of everything. So I vacuumed today, which makes me feel better. I just getting stuff out and starting over with a clean palette is something I have to do every couple months. And that's kind of the mode I'm in right now. Plus it's 30. Hey, Google, what's the temperature?
Nathan, they were all asking about the decades. We're all basically looking into Disney. So us guys being in our 40s, we like to look at the movies back when we were kids. That's why they were talking about the decades. But I'm waiting for. I'm not ending the show until we get Jason back. So
I was going to say we should just refuse to leave and just sit here.
Yeah, we'll just sit here and put a little clock on and stuff like that. Jason, what's going on with you? You anything you want to share?
Absolutely nothing. No.
No.
He had to leave for a minute to go untie his wife from the bed. Let her out for a break.
He's counting his money. I mean, he's $20,000 in the last 28 days.
Like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Working hard. Got my nose to the ground.
Yeah. Are you going to invite me down again? I'll keep my shirt on.
You're always welcome, Pat.
All right. So
Jose has a question though first.
I want to thank your son, Nathan, who I've never met. I knew you had a son, for teaching me about Disney because I was getting frustrated with that.
He has two sons, actually.
I knew he had a younger one, but I didn't know he had an older one.
Yeah, I have Joshua too. Joshua's here now with me. He helps me a lot with my YouTube thumbnails and stuff like that. So
Disney through the decades. There, that's so awesome.
There you go. Danny May, you just have to understand. He behaves himself in the side chat on my page. He's ribbing other pages or other channels. So it's sort of an inside joke. But no, he's fine. He's a friend of mine. And everybody's always respectful. If you notice, I didn't have to time out anybody, and everybody is a good bunch that comes in here and supports Patdees, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate all these guys taking the time to come out. You know, when I do the show, I just don't want to sit around and just, hey guys, what do you do? Oh, nothing. What you eat last week? Nothing. You know, I really want to make sure that we're doing a show that, you know, people can enjoy, and we educate people, and you know, and have a good time. So I want to thank Dusty for joining me. This is the original bunch, Jason and Eric, when we first started this show back in what was it? May? I think it was May. And we've done, I think, 14 shows so far, and we're going to do them again, but I want to do them. I don't want to do them week after week. Sometimes, you know what? life happens and there's not much changes in a week. So I want to do them that, you know, we're providing good information to the audience and stuff. So, but thank you guys. And thank you again, Dusty. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Jason. I appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight. If you guys want to say anything real quick before we hit the end broadcast button, please do.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm going to now go watch 1979's The Black Hole.
Nice.
One of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, I have that. It's great, except the ending. The ending is kind of
weird.
Yeah.
But everybody loves a little robot that's voiced by Slim Pickens. So I mean, you gotta love that. So.
Oh, that Maximilian's a badass. So.
Yeah.
Oh, did nobody warn you when you invited us on that we don't actually end? We just talk for hours until.
No, that's okay. I actually want to talk
to the bathroom.
Dusty, I want to talk to you about, and maybe you can help me in the future. You know, I enjoy, me and you've talked privately about the stock market. And here's the thing, Disney Plus the other day, and then I'll end it here. Had you put 1,000 into Disney options on Wednesday, the next day would have been worth $22,000 on 141 calls.
Nice.
Because it went up 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
After
it had to hit a certain price by Friday, but 1,000 into 22,000.
On the calls that were for that Friday.
For that Friday, last Friday, 141 calls. The next day, because the stock jumped $10. Actually, that's a position that my son holds in his 401k that I manage. So you know, I follow that too. That's for me. I really try to be not just concentrate just on eBay or Amazon, but you know, making money with the market, and I'm helping a guy with property management. So I'm doing a bunch of different things to kind of. Jose wants to know, can he ship an old bulletproof vest?
You can't. You just can't ship it internationally. So you can't ship it or sell it internationally.
Right. Exactly.
Don't sell anything military for the most part, or weapons related. Don't even ship it out of the country. Create a shipping policy within eBay for U.S. only for items that are questionable.
Yeah.
Which they'll usually catch you on that and warn you, but just to be safe.
Right. All right, guys. I'm sure I'm going to get more comments and people want you guys to come back. And I think I'm going to try to do it. And again, Dusty we don't hold him because he told me he
did it earlier.
We can. I was
going to say I'm so old, but I just found out you and I are the same age, so I don't want to say that.
We could do, if we do it, it would have to be like 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I try to be respectful. I try to be respectful and not step on other people's toes because I don't want to be considered selfish. So
let me put it this way. Dusty, Jason, and I predate those shows. So if you do it with us, they're stepping on our toes at that point.
No, I know.
I learned a long time ago. There's so many people out there. You're always gonna. You do try to be respectful. I know exactly where you're coming from, but it's just you got to do you. So
no, I do, but again, and because of me, in a sense, being the traveling picker and wanting to go out and meet people, and not, you know, because part of my strategy with YouTube is wanting to be successful on YouTube and meet people and do the story of what they're doing in their lives and the story behind the things that they're picking and stuff like that. I still want to be not come across as selfish or greedy and just just be good to everybody. Is it going to happen sometimes? Yes. The issue, and I don't really in the wintertime have an issue probably 7 to 9 because I'll be honest, I'm not during the summer. People don't realize is when I'm out, like when I was with Eric and Jason in New York, I left at 4:30. They were still there till 8:30. So then I had to race back to get and do the show. So, you know,
that show barely kept us alive on the way back. We were so tired.
Yeah. So that's the issue there. But I'm definitely I will reach out to you guys again. If I don't talk to you before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving. I needled the guys. This is the turkey edition because we're all turkeys here, and I appreciate you guys. And have a great night.
I'm more of a French hen.
We'll leave it at that.
Right there.
Bye.